Sailing, RuneScape's first homegrown skill is set to release on November 19th, roughly a week and a half from now, if I release this on time. And in Jagex's own words, this is the game's largest update ever, and by a wide margin. Looking through all the development blogs and all the upcoming content can be a little bit of information overload, and in this video, I plan to break all of that down for you so you can kind of get the basic idea of what's coming so you can be ready on release day. Sailing is going to start off being meshed together and integrated with a ton of the different skills that we already have in the game, and with this, it's going to bring new training methods, new resources, new rewards, and all of these coming from new unlockable locations. With boats being primarily made of wood in RuneScape, it only makes sense to have a large expansion in the areas of woodcutting and construction. I don't think this one's really surprising anyone. To keep up thematically though, with the sailing concept, only hardwoods are going to be available for the actual shipbuilding. Let's introduce our 4 new types of trees. First up, there's the Jatoba tree. Unlocked at 40 woodcutting, these look to be just used during the quest, but not really anything else. We have the camphor tree at level 66 woodcutting. This one's going to be used for fire making, fletching, which we'll talk about a little bit later here, and then also for construction and shipbuilding. Then there's both ironwood at 80 woodcutting and rosewood at 92 woodcutting, which are 2 high-end woods for both fletching and shipbuilding. All of these are classified as hardwoods, so they're going to be able to be grown in hardwood patches, just like teaks and mahoganies. As we spoke about a second ago, there's going to be a new fletching activity surrounding these new hardwood logs. We're going to be able to make blowpipes. All these are going to be direct downgrades from the toxic blowpipe, and they won't apply venom. They're going to cap out at adamant darts, and they're mainly focused at being an early game alternative to something like a short bow. For reference, the toxic blowpipe has 30 accuracy and 20 range strength compared to the 22 accuracy and 6 strength of the rosewood blowpipe. Before we finish up all this wood talk, let's talk about shipbuilding, like the only part that any of us really care about. According to the blog, the basic way that shipbuilding is going to work is that you're going to be able to create components out of planks, which will then be able to be combined into other components that you will then go and combine again to make your ship. On this chart, we can see how this plays out with different planks. 5 planks equals 1 hole, then 5 holes makes a large hole part, which essentially allows you to have 25 planks in one inventory spot. I assume that it's going to take several of these different parts in order to make a boat, so this is going to condense all of that into one inventory, which is going to make this a lot more convenient. Next up, mining and smithing. When I think sailing, I think pirates, and then I think cannons to sink other pirates' ships. Mainly, I wanted to do PvP to sink my friend's ship. That's not coming here. But with the introduction of sailing, we're going to be getting some new minerals, which are going to play a key part in not only the cannons that I was excited about, not so much anymore, but also for new facilities and ship upgrades. We're going to get 3 new ores. The first one's lead. It's going to be just like a standard rock, like, bronze, iron, coal, stuff like that. It's going to be used to keep the waters, or the ships, watertight. Rubium, which is going to be mined similarly to volcanic ash. It's just going to stack in your inventory, probably multiple of them per spot. You could also mine this as geodes, which you could then break down into splinters. And then we have nickel, which is going to be similar to Motherlode Mine, where you're going to mine out deposits and then have to refine them, sluice them, something like that. These will be used to make cupro nickel bars, which will be a higher level version of lead. Just like we saw with shipbuilding, with the hulls, the smithing component will be for the keel of the ship, which I had to Google this one. It's the central structural component of the ship's hull, kind of like the ribcage or like a skeleton. Same thing as with the hulls, 5 bars equals 1 keel, 5 keels equals 1 keel part, and then, you make a ship out of that. Additionally, we're going to be getting new cannonballs that will be exclusively used in sailing. You can't use them in your dwarf cannon or anything like that. On top of offering bronze through dragon cannonballs, we're also going to be able to craft chain shot, which will use a chain to bind 2 of them effect. It's going to give you a binding effect, and then also incendiary cannonballs, which will cause a burn effect. This is what we're using that rubium for. To speed up the process, there's going to be an island that you unlock at 81 sailing. This will double the speed at which cannonballs are smithed, including the steel cannonballs, which you use in the dwarf cannon. Firing cannons will award both ranged and sailing experience, or if you have an NPC firing your cannon, you're going to only receive sailing experience, but more on the actual sailing experience and all that stuff a little bit later in the video. It would be insane to release sailing without some sort of fishing activity, and we're actually getting 2 of them. There's both lantern fishing, which is kind of conventional, and then deep sea trawling, which will introduce new food, herblore ingredients, and fletching materials. Lantern fishing is going to just be deep sea harpooning by lantern light. Basically just the same harpooning that we have now, but in a different location. This is going to be used to obtain different types of squid, which will be used for squid paste, a herblore ingredient for a potion that I don't think is going to have that much play, and then the squid beak, which will be used to fletch the blowpipes with the new logs. The real meat of the fishing part of sailing is going to be with the deep sea trawling. Trawling nets will be crafted using rope, linen yarn, hemp yarn, and cotton yarn. The new fibers, like hemp, will be able to be grown in the hops patch. Let's just go through the new fish really quick. We got the giant krill, which heals 17, just a standard food. We have haddock, which heals 18, overheals by 10, also used in herblore. Yellowfin tuna heals 19, restores energy, also used in herblore. And then we have halibut, which is the first one that's like really interesting to me. It heals 20, and this one's a direct upgrade to the Kambam Bam, so you can combo eat with with it for an extra 2 health, bluefin tuna, which heals 22 and restores a little bit of prayer, and then we'll be able to catch marlins, which are going to be the new best in slot food, healing 24, and will also be used in herblore. For the hunter skill, we're going to be able to hunt crabs. This part's not really that interesting. They're going to be used as food. It's a little bit lower tier than the rest of the food here, and they're also going to be used for herblore ingredients. Jagex main focus here was creating a catch cycle that feels satisfying, which kind of does sound right up my alley, actually. Next up, farming. We're going to be getting a brand new type of patch, which is the coral nursery. These are going to be used to cultivate elkhorn, pillar, and umbral corals, which provide herblore ingredients. We already covered it a second ago, but fibers like hemp, flax, and cotton will be able to be farmed in hop patches, and the new hardwood trees will also be able to be grown in hardwood tree patches. And then finally, tying pretty much all these together is going to be the herblore skill. We have several different new potions entering the game with sailing. Here's a chart from the blog if you want to take a look. Most of these are just expansions on existing potions, except for the Armadil Brew, which looks like a Sardom Brew type of potion that boosts your range while lowering all of your other stats. Now, the pirates that I mentioned in the beginning finally make an appearance. There's going to be new locations that allow you to thieve pirates, loot their chests, and loot their market stalls. The pirates and their chests have loot that are focused around helping with sailing. If you just look at this chart here, it's all just like kind of resources from all of the things we just talked about. The stalls are interesting too, as they do not deplete, but they're going to have reduced experience and an altered drop table from the normal stalls. Welcome to part 2. We're going to be going over the Slayer monsters, the Slayer bosses, and some gear upgrades that come from them. First up, we have the Griffin. These are unlocked at 51 Slayer, and they're aimed more at lower level players as they have a paid unlock for Duradil and Neve if you do want to keep on doing them. They're weak to magic, but melee should be super effective as well. Let's look at the unique drops. Griffin feathers used to charge the Horn of Plenty. I'm guessing these are either super common or just like a guaranteed drop. The Horn of Plenty is an offhand hunter item. It provides an invisible +4 boost to your hunter level. It also has a toggle which will give you a 1 in 10 or a 10% chance for a double hunter catch, which will consume a feather if it's successful. And then there's the Shellbane Griffin, which is the boss variant. Interestingly, this one's going to be open to anyone who can kill the normal Griffins, which makes it a low level Slayer boss. It's actually the lowest level Slayer boss in the game, which should make the early game bossing experience much more exciting since you don't really have too much at that level right now. The big chase drop here is the Gleaming Rapier, a 65 attack, 5 tick stab weapon, which is in line with the Zombie Axe, but for stab weapons. And of course, like all of our other Slayer bosses, there's going to be a pet coming as well. Our next Slayer monster is the Aqua Knight. I think RuneScape had these like in the original RuneScape 2 back in like 2K12 or something. It also reminds me a lot of the Anglers from Fallout. Anyways, these are a mid-tier Slayer monster unlocking at 78 Slayer and requiring a paid upgrade in order to be assigned them. They have a rare chance of dropping the Aqua Knight tendon, which can then be made into the Aqua Knight Hopper. This gives a 10% chance of firing 2 bolts instead of 1 with a crossbow, with the second bolt having 67% reduced damage, accuracy, and chance of bolt proc. Next up, Lava Strike Worms. These are fought on regular worm tests, and the main draw here is their drop of the Dragon Sheet, which is used to create the highest level ship upgrades. Not much is said about their level or anything else about these guys, but since they drop a best in slot sailing component, I would guess that they're going to be somewhere mid to high leveled. And then Frost Dragons are making an appearance. These were some of the best money in the game back in like 2010 or 2011 or something, and now they're entering the game in old school as well. They're going to be dropping their iconic Frost Dragon Bones, which will be better than Lava Dragon Bones, but not as good as Hydra or Superior Dragon Bones. They're also going to drop the Dragon Sheets just like the Strike Worms I spoke about a minute ago. Alright, part 3, the most exciting part, the actual sailing part of the sailing skill. And while I'm here, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out greatly. First, let's talk about shipbuilding. At any time you can own up to 5 boats. These boats will be able to be upgraded at shipyards as you progress through your sailing and all of this. You're going to unlock new islands, new shipyards at those new islands, etc., etc. There's 3 different types of boats, or 3 different sizes of boat. You have the raft. This is like kind of your beginner one. You start off at level 1 with a raft. Then you'll move up to a small boat or a skiff, and then eventually up to a large boat. On your ship, we will have facilities. With larger ships, you have more facilities. Facilities are different upgradable modules for you to enhance your sailing gameplay. Think of like construction on your ship, but instead of like a chair or something, you can build like a cannon or a grappling hook. Throughout your progression, you'll be able to assemble a crew. There's up to 10 NPCs available, different ones at different levels most likely, and a maximum of 5 at a time. These are going to be able to man your facilities on your ship. Think dudes firing cannons at stuff. Players on your friends list can also join as well. I don't really see that happening too much until we get raids for Sailing with the Boys. On the day of release, you're going to want to head over to the docks of Port Sarum and complete the Pandemonium quest. This one is going to give you a little bit of sailing experience, but the actual experience in learning how to do the sailing skill is what this quest is all about. Once you complete the quest, you learn how to sail. We're going to want to head over to the shipwrights at the shipyard to customize and upgrade our our ship. Then at level 1, we have options for 2 different types of tasks. The first one we're going to talk about is port tasks. If you've ever played Borderlands, basically there's going to be a notice board in all of the ports. These are going to have a bunch of different fetch quests. You can either deliver cargo from one place to another, just be a delivery boy, or you can go out and defeat some monsters through a bounty task. Then another activity that you're going to have access to at level 1 is sea charting. Basically, you're going to be charting the seas down in your captain's log. This is the part of sailing that I'm most excited about personally. It's going to have tons of lore. They've already talked about all of the different little storylines that they've written for all of the different islands that you unlock. Then at level 15, we unlock shipwreck salvaging. There's probably going to be a bunch of different shipwrecks, all with different levels, but 15 is probably the lowest level here. You're going to have a salvaging station, which you use a little grappling hook to pull up loot down from the bottom of the sea. Jagex has mentioned that this is supposed to be the more AFK of the training activities, so probably lower experience per hour, but way more chiller. A fan favorite, at least in my clan, the Barracuda trials are unlocked at level 30 sailing, or at least the first one is. These are kind of like a high-intensity racing minigame. Judging by the wording in the blog, this one should be really good experience, but also way more clicky. So in the most recent blog for this, Jagex actually details how they suggest tackling the early levels of sailing. They go up to like level 30 or 50 or something like that, so it shouldn't take all too long. I strongly recommend you check this out. I'm going to speedrun it here, but I'll leave a link down in the description below. First up, they recommend starting off with sea charting. We're not going to have all the tools necessary, but they do say that you can just click to interact with certain chartable locations to unlock them. They also recommend always having a port task. This way, while you're out charting, doing other sailing stuff, you can also be working on that port task, just killing 2 birds with 1 stone. At level 15, you unlock the medium-sized boat, currently called a skiff. Mid-game, level 30, you get a ton of decent unlocks here, including the Barracuda trials, which looks like it's going to be some of the best experience for sailing. You're also going to get bounty tests and cannon facilities, so at this point, this is when you start gearing up for battle. At level 40 sailing, we get our first crew member, Jobless Jim. Then at 45 sailing, we unlock the Troubled Tortugan quest, which introduces kind of like the main island that is coming with sailing, Great Conch. Anyways, guys, I am so hype on this update. I've just been like playing around with the world map, just checking everything out while making this video, and I could not be more hyped about this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.